Well, hey, it is Rhonda Simmons, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Simmons Empowerment Foundation. And I am so excited. That's just a part of my intro now. You should be used to it because I am. Let me tell you, I keep saying this with every interview that I have met some of the best people this side of heaven. And tonight, oh my goodness, I tell you, y'all, I know that's, not proper English, but it's just one of those moments. Y'all, let me tell you, I have someone so special tonight. You may not believe it, but because you're listening, then you have to believe it. Or if you're watching, you have to believe it. But I do want to welcome you. I didn't tell you that at the beginning. I do want to welcome you to Empowered Heart to Heart, and we just have a good time here. So you're in for a real treat tonight with my special guest. So make sure that you like, comment, and share this video. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, bookmark us if you're listening to the podcast, so you can keep coming back, because ladies and gentlemen, I'm dropping episodes more than once a week, so you don't want to miss a single episode. Reach out to me on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, all with the same ID, and that is TSEFIORG. All righty. So let me just tell you about our guest. I have someone, believe it or not, I have someone from WSB TV in Atlanta. In fact, she's not just a someone, she is the TV news boss, y'all. WSB TV is an affiliate of ABC, and she's going to be a speaker, a VIP speaker at my summit next week. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited. Okay, woosah. I'd like to introduce to you all the very capable, the very successful and confident Suzanne Nadell. Hello, Suzanne. How are you?
Oh, yay!
I
So
am.
here.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here as well. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that you're here and that you are who you are, and you're with the TV, WSB TV in Atlanta. Oh my goodness, Atlanta is everything, people tell me. And so I'm just so excited that you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So are you excited to be a speaker for our summit?
I am. I am. I am most excited about connecting. I mean, since I've met you, and I know like the people you've brought into this are other, like it's just going to be, I can feel the good energy already. So anything to be part of good energy and empowering other women, so excited about, and made sure I cleared my calendar so we could do this.
Well, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Suzanne is an author. Her book will be coming out next year.
Mhm.
She also puts out a weekly blog and newsletter, and she also speaks to as many people who will listen about faith, family, and career. So, Suzanne, we need you to tell us, how did you get into talking about faith, family, and career?
At the heart of it was I felt there weren't many women like me talking to women like me. And I don't mean that disrespectful to many of the amazing female Christian authors, and who are, let's be real, very many of them are very successful business women in their own right. But I wasn't seeing that, go getter career woman who was heavily involved in her faith and dealing with all the family things that go with that. And what does that look like whenever you're also trying to manage the home? And what if you're the one with more of a spiritual background and foundation than your husband? And everything that you're hearing is this, idolatry of, this family in a certain situation. Like, how is it that you manage all of that? So I really just started speaking up because I knew there were women who were like me, and I didn't want other women like me to feel alone. And I want to be able to share those life lessons and for us to share those life lessons together in doing that. So that's at the crux of it. And I would say with that as well, I want little girls and little boys to see, especially little girls and little boys in the church, to see women like me. I tell the story all the time. Um, I teach Sunday school every city I've lived in, and I've moved around a lot. And I tell all of those kids in those Sunday school classes that I teach what I do. And it's not to brag, about what I do and that I'm like their favorite meteorologist boss or any of these things. I want them to know that their Sunday school teacher is a successful career woman. And if that's what you want to be, if that's what you are called to do, you can do that. And I want our little boys and girls to see that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How empowering. Oh my goodness. Because sometimes, Suzanne, it seems like people have preconceived ideas of who we should be. And if I can coin a cliche here, uh, we need to stay in our place. I don't like that phrase. I don't like that phrase at all. How hard has it been as a woman to get to where you are?
Career wise, it wasn't as hard as in other aspects of my life. So my book, and we're starting to talk about it now, is fact checking your Jesus life lessons I wish I learned in church. And basically, at the core of the book is I am a preacher's kid. I am wired to lead. And how, in the circles I grew up, I was not going to be able to lead in the church. And by the way, growing up, I wasn't upset by that. It's just the way it was. Well, I ended up going into TV news with many of the same skills and gifts of my pastor dad. And I went to TV news and I climbed the ranks to now I'm leading the nation's number one local TV newsroom.
Wow.
And I have led, learned amazing lessons and been embraced as a leader. And I've learned in a newsroom many Bible principle lessons that I didn't learn in church because I didn't have the opportunity to climb the same ranks in a church and to use my gifts, my God given talents in the church. So the book is about things that I think we should talk about at church more. So it's kind of like a two-pronged approach. Like, you know what I mean? Like how do we embrace women who are gifted to lead? And then the other thing is these are some things that we need to talk about. And it would have been great if I learned these in the church, but I didn't. But maybe we should start talking about some of these things.
I totally agree with you. Oh my goodness. I I'm pausing because I want to be careful what I say here. But I'm a preacher, and I can't tell you how many times I've encountered, I've never heard of a woman preacher before. Okay. Well, I'm here now. Hand me the mic. you know, and so it's a double standard. It's rough. It is rough, and it's sad. It's sad. So how did you overcome knowing you were a leader and having to be silent?
I I just quit being silent. And I think part of it was, I found people who believed the same ways that I did. I did a lot of studying to kind of challenge some of the things that I once believed to see where, what I really believed and did studying on my own. And, part of that is that, that led me to people and circles and, churches where, that aligned with what I currently believed. So it gave me opportunities to speak. I think part of that also was, at the crux of that was And what I love about what you're doing, especially on Friday, is, and it's a lesson that I first learned in newsrooms, is I found Christian women who were like me, with also who had voices and wanted to do the same thing. And I would say, I was part of an all females discipleship group, which is a life changing moment for me. And it's, we all have very different beliefs on whether we're complementary and egalitarian, and not everybody in that group even completely agrees on where they landed. But they were women of faith who were all wired to lead, and we were able to like talk things out. And just having that support, just knowing that, what, we may differ on some things. That's a say in my book, I'm not going to change anyone's mind on where they land on things in the book. That's not the purpose of it. But at least when we respect each other with where we may be, and still empower each other. And it was for other women in the group too. It was just a very enlightening moment on what it was like to have women of faith friends. And I will say, until that, besides when I was in college, my other experiences with women empowering women was in the workplace. And I didn't see that in church as much. Not nearly as much as, I mean, in the marketplace, in the workplace, you know, for 3 decades now, women have been pulling each other up. And I remember when I was a young department head, an executive saying, they say, bring a seat at the table. I didn't understand what she was doing at that point, but she turned to me and she said, sit right here. And I'm like, okay. And some folks in the room got really upset. I sat right there, but an executive just asked me to sit right there. And what she was doing was saying, "You, woman, I'm bringing, I'm bringing you up. Have a seat at the table. You
Yeah.
deserve a seat at the table."
Yes.
And that's something like, that's like one of the lessons, like, that I think that we can do to help other women is give other women a seat at the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's, eh, you know, Suzanne, I feel like I know who I am, and I don't have to justify my call to the ministry to anyone, um, because they're not God. I respect them, but they're not God, and they didn't call me. And so it's I typically don't engage in that discourse, because to me it's not worth it, and we're wasting too much time when there's work to be done.
Right. Right.
So, wow, I'm so excited and empowered by your story, because you're just breaking all kinds of ceilings, and that's phenomenal. What keeps you going? What fuels your fire?
Part of it is just the way I'm wired, I think. My nickname in the workplace has been Energizer Bunny. Um, because I go, 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 and I do have an intense drive. I think, I think when you know what your purpose is and you see something clearly, that keeps you focused. And I've had to learn over time how to prioritize what it is that I do and don't do. And that's part of what enables me to be able to keep going. I think also, throughout my life, I've also had some health challenges. I've had cancer twice. So, you get some perspective from those things as well. And that helps you prioritize and realize what it is that is most important to you. It's, I'm, close to 50, Suzanne. I still go, 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 but different ways than I did in my 30s. And I think it's just, it's more aligned with what I realize I would regret not doing if I didn't go ahead and do it. And that's just perspective that, quite honestly, you get that through age and tough stuff. And I think, that's just how it happens.
Yes, yes. There's a word that you've used three different times in this interview already that I think it's worth talking about a little bit more. And that word is wired.
Wired.
Yes, wired to lead. And I love that word. Can you tell me what wired means to you?
God-given talents. It's funny, whenever I was talking to my dad once about how I was, they say every preacher has a child who gets the preacher's gene. And I said, Dad, like, let's be real. I'm pretty sure in our family that was me. I got your gene. And I talked about the aspects of my talents that have helped me be a newsroom leader and lead newsrooms, and how they are the same gifts that he has. And he said, and he just was, he's like, well, he's like, you're wired to lead. And that just kind of always stuck with me. And I think, I do think we have to, you can talk about, is it your Enneagram or your Berkman or your Myers-Briggs, or what those things are. And I do understand, some things are definitely environmental and around you, but I do believe that you do have God-given talents. And those are the things that you are supposed to use for your individual purpose or mission. And and you know what, if we don't utilize those, why are we here?
Yes. Yes. Valid question. Do you find a deeper sense of fulfillment when you're walking in your calling?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Don't you?
I
Like,
do. I do. There's nothing like it. There is nothing like it.
there's that energy. You know
Mm.
what I mean? It's what fuels you. It's what keeps you going. There's like a push. I was speaking. I fell in preach at my church. Excuse me. And I was talking to my pastor today. I was like, it fills my tank. When I go to a women's conference and I'm talking to other women, when I'm doing this, I'm gonna have a hard time getting to sleep tonight, and I'm an hour ahead of you. But I'm gonna be like on cloud nine tonight because I just did something that energized me. And
Yeah.
I had a long time. I didn't grow up in an environment where we talked about. I'm gonna get a drink real quick here.
Mhm.
I didn't grow up in an environment where we talked about the Holy Spirit very much.
Mhm.
So I was always like struggling with, how do I know if God's talking to me? And like I was always trying to, figure things out. And basically it was an Uber driver who also happened to be a pastor that just like gave me the clear going to my women's discipleship group. One picked me up at 4 in the morning in my home in Atlanta, which by the way, we got to get you to Atlanta. Have you not been to Atlanta?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I
we
would
got to get
love.
you to Atlanta at some point. But
Yes,
anyway,
I would love to be there.
but he basically said to me, he's like, what is it you have that urge to do? What is that thing that you just keep on thinking about that you can't stop thinking about? What is it that you do, that thing that you can't stop thinking about, that when you do it very well? Like that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
And that stuck with me.
Wow. So many things are going through my mind right now, Suzanne, because I can be exhausted, not feeling well, but then I'll start thinking about something that has to be done for the foundation, and I'm almost crawling upstairs to my office because I got to get it done. And so, yeah, I totally get it.
Well, and I say, people say, Suzanne, how do you do it all? Well, first I've got help. And when we talk about what I'm talking about next week, we'll talk about that a little more. Yes, I've got help. Yes, I've got systems. Yes, I've got all of those things. But whenever you're doing things that you love to do, it's not as hard. Now, that being said, I do think that we are faced with challenges sometimes, and that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. You know what I mean? Job had to persevere through. Like there are many people in the Bible who faced challenges, and they were completely like in God's will. But look for the consistencies and look for how you're touching people and reaching and reaching them, and you hear from them,
Mhm.
and then I think that helps you figure it
Suzanne, seems like for those of us who are seasoned, we're not old, we're seasoned.
out. Season.
Yeah. Um, It seems like we're more effective in impacting people when we're coming from a place of vulnerability and brokenness. And the message is totally different. The authenticity is totally different. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah, I overheard one of my bosses talking to someone about me once, and I think they were very true. And I think, their comment about me, and I realize it, is, my experiences of being of dealing of fighting off two different kinds of cancer, both which involved chemo and radiation and surgeries, Hodgkin's lymphoma and breast cancer. Um, that gives me a compassion and empathy and passion and understanding. And I think people who knew me before, and part of that was I was younger and didn't have perspective, and my kid, there were a lot of things. Um, but I do wonder. It, it gives you a perspective, you know.
Yes,
It does,
yes,
and you understand, what matters and what
mhm,
doesn't,
mhm.
and you there are some things that you can't understand until you've faced it yourself.
Yes,
When you've faced devastating news, when you've heard from your doctor, I'm sorry, I don't want to tell you this. It's, that this is how it could play out. This is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to have to do the rest of your life. Different things. You understand more. You don't understand that until you've gone through that. You can have all the empathy in the world,
yeah.
but you don't fully understand that until you've been through some of that yourself.
Wow, wow. Well, I want to applaud you for being um, a cancer. I hate to say survivor because that word doesn't seem sufficient enough. Because you look like you're just thriving,
Thank you. Thank
and you work through the survival to get to the thriving, and I congratulate you on that. That's fantastic.
Keep your
That's
doctor's appointments, ladies. I mean, it's both of mine could have been very bad if they weren't caught early. And the journeys weren't they could have still been caught earlier if I was even a better patient, but it would have been much worse if it had gone on much longer. So keep your doctor's appointments.
yes, thank you. You know, sometimes as career women, we we major on in the good big stuff, but we struggle with the practical things, like keeping those appointments because we're so busy taking care of everybody else.
My checkup for my breast cancer, and it ended up being like about 5 months late. And I had even forgotten that I was late on the appointment until after I was talking to another doctor, and they're like, it's time for your mammogram. And I was like, oh, yeah, that day, like 5 months ago, running around in a Target, and they called me and I said, I can't talk. I'll call you back. And I never called them back, was to schedule that. And I think you're right. It's just, we don't slow down. We don't, take the important call. We, don't write down what's important. We got distracted by whatever.
Yes, yes. So, Suzanne, if you could send your younger self a message, what would it be?
This is the message I still have to tell myself. It is just an ongoing narrative. Um, you're enough, and you don't have to constantly prove yourself to everyone, including God.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to say that again for the people in the back because that was so powerful. Say it one more time.
You are enough. You do not have to constantly prove yourself to everyone, including God.
Wow. 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 I just feel like we need a moment of silence right there because that is so profound. As women, we try to please so many people. I was just talking about that just this week, how there were distinct times in my life where I was just hooked on approval addiction. You know, not with everybody, but key people in my life. And it was very unhealthy. I mean, I can remember getting sick in trash cans and, just simply because I was disappointing someone.
And often what I found is I wasn't maybe disappointing the person as much as I thought it was, and didn't address some of those approval and people pleasing and lack of boundary things early enough because I didn't want to disappoint them, because I didn't want to upset them. It created a toxic thing. And then I almost lost some very good relationships, friendships, many different things because I didn't address that at the root of it was I was trying. I mean, you make people pleasing and approval of God, right? And it's putting yourself at the center, right? Like that's at the core of it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I came to realize that if I spent just as much energy trying to please God as I was trying to please other people, I might be a little closer to Him than I am and further along in the journey.
Mhm.
Because I realize, and this is, I'm not throwing shade, as the kids say, on anyone, but I've come to this conclusion: I can't please everybody. I just can't.
And you can agree, disagree with some of what she has to say, but I love Mel Robbins. Her thing right now is the whole let them theory. You know what I mean? If somebody's doing something and it's bothering you, just instead of getting upset about it, just let them. Like if your friends are doing something and you're not invited, let them. If you know what, if you're gonna do make a call at work and some people are gonna talk about it, let them. You know what I mean? Just you can't control it, just let them and let go of it, and that just changes your perspective. You can't control how they react, just let them do what they're going to do.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, Suzanne, our audience, I know they are so excited about everything that they've heard in this interview with you. You are fantastic, but we want to know, what can we expect from you at the summit next week? Because I know you are going to bring the fire.
Well, we are going to talk about living and leading when the pressure is on and it's always on. uh People really wanted to hear about this topic, and I say, you know what, we say coming out of like the past 3 years, the pressure has been on, but we're always putting the pressure on ourselves. So, what I'm going to do is just walk everyone through things that you need to examine to deal with the pressure. Because if you're waiting for the pressure to go away, the pressure's not going to go away. So, we're going to first take a look at why do we feel the pressure? What is it that we're putting on ourselves? Some of what we talked about earlier. Why do we feel the pressure? And then what are your signs that you're under pressure? How do you spot that you're in a bad place? How do you respond to that? And then we're just going to talk about just, what are some first steps you can take? It's really going to be a talk where, we're not going to make any groundbreaking things. If anything, it's to spark thoughts on what you need to go spend time on afterwards. Because I think, for different people, there are different things they take away. And, just spark some thoughts on what is it you need to do some self work on yourself, partner someone, find a coach, or do something. Pressure's not going to go away. It's how we react to it. It's our response. And what is it we need to stop and evaluate in our response to the situations that are around us?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I can't wait. I can't wait. Yes, I know I'm the host, but I will have my pen and paper ready. I guess I'm showing my age there because other people would have their phones, but I will have something to write with, something to write on so that I can take notes. Because one thing, Suzanne, that I think we all have in common is that we want to be a better version of ourselves. And that's why the summit is called Dear Future Me Women's Empowerment International Summit. It's because we're always, or should always, be looking in the future. Who do I want to become? Sometimes we have that tunnel vision and we think this is all there is. And, everything that I see, this is the extent of life. And I just refuse to accept that. And so I am so looking forward to everything that you will be bringing next week. And thank you, thank you, thank you for being on our show today. I am so excited. Well, any final messages of hope or anything you want to share with the audience before we go?
Wow. Approach every day with the outlook of you're loved. You're loved. And the gifts and talents you have, they're not by chance.
Yes.
Use them the way they're to be used.
Absolutely. Because we're wired to lead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Suzanne. If you will just hang out just for a minute, I'll get right back with you. Thank you so much for being on our show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate it so much.
All righty. See you in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness. I told you. Didn't I tell you? Yes, I did. I told you that Suzanne Nadell is awesome, and she is that. And if you enjoyed what you heard or saw today or tonight or whenever you're watching or listening to this, you need to make sure that you get your ticket, you register for the Dear Future Me Women's Empowerment International Summit. We have speakers, 18 speakers over 2 days, August 18th and 19th. And the speakers are from all over the world, not just the United States, but Canada, Slovenia, Thailand, Barbados, Costa Rica. You need to be in the room. And let me just clarify something that you may be thinking. No, the summit will not be live streamed on Facebook or any other social media platform. So if you're thinking, well, I'll just sit and wait for the live stream, it's not coming. It's not. The only way to be a part of the summit is to go to Eventbrite, click on the link somewhere around this video or in the podcast description, and register. Once you register, you'll get the link, the Zoom link, so that you can have access to the summit. You want to be there. You want to be a part of the summit because Suzanne and the other 17 speakers, they're not just talking out of the top of their heads. They're talking from a place of experience and authenticity and training, certifications. These are professional women, and they have one thing in common, and that is they have a passion to empower other women. These 18 speakers will be talking from 5 different topics, or I should say areas that they're going to be talking from. And it'll be overcoming trauma, executing your vision for your life, aligning your career with your values, self-care, and women's financial wellness. So there is something for everybody. Click the link. You need to be in the room. Don't let this moment pass you by. This is the summit of the summer, and it's going to be epic. So click the link today, and you can even get a VIP pass, because with the VIP pass, you'll get a chance to meet all of the 18 speakers in the after party that we'll have on Zoom. And so make sure that you get all the perks that come with the VIP pass. So get ready, get ready, get ready. The summit is coming August 18th and 19th. Until then, be blessed, be encouraged, but most of all, be empowered. And I'll see you at the summit.